Zhang Yi didn't know how many sources the Centipede King had, but if he cut it down the middle, there wouldn't be any problems, right? A huge sword beam slashed directly down from the Centipede King's head, and a thin line slowly appeared in the center of its body. Green blood spread out, followed by a loud pop. Like a dam bursting, a large amount of blood gushed out like a waterfall, spraying onto Zhong Yue and the other two. Li Changgong was instantly turned into a small green man, but he did not retreat. Instead, he asked Zhang Yi loudly, "Chaos. How is it? Did you kill it?" Zhang Yi looked at the two halves of the body, which were like small mountains, slowly falling down and said, "It looks like it's dead. But there's still one left." The moment the two pieces of flesh collapsed with a bang, the other body of the Centipede King let out an extremely shrill cry. Then, in front of everyone, it turned its head, crawled on the ground, and quickly swam away. "It's running away!" Zhang Yi shouted. The Centipede King was no longer able to maintain its illusion, so Zhang Yi told everyone to quickly remove the light shield and chase after it. He took a step forward and arrived above the Centipede King's head, firing one after another of the void bullets from his dual guns to block its path. However, the Centipede King's hard shell was indeed strong enough to withstand Zhang Yi's attacks. It swam toward the distant volcano while crying out in pain. Although Zhang Yi tried desperately to stop it from escaping, he couldn't stop this huge creature on his own. By the time Li Changgong and the others arrived, it had already dived into the revived volcano and burrowed into the viscous, scorching magma. The people who had rushed over were all stunned. Han Shanzhua immediately fired a wave of magic crows at it. With a boom, the entire hill was completely blown up. However, what followed was only an even greater eruption of magma. The scarlet magma poured into the entire cave like blood, and it continued to gush out from deeper within the earth. The scorching heat was unbearable. Even though the four of them had means of defense, it was impossible for them to dive into the magma like the Centipede King. Is there still no way to kill it? Zhong Yue's eyes were cold as he clenched his fists. A mutant beast with an ability index of 20,000 points would surely become a major threat to the Xinjiang region if it survived. But at the moment, none of their methods were working. This was underground, not the domain of humans. There really is no better way. We've done everything we can. Zhang Yi's expression was very calm. He had done everything within his power, and even if the mission wasn't completely accomplished, he could accept it. Now he was thinking about how to mine the Yuan stone vein as much as possible and collect it in his dimensional space. After all, the Centipede King had escaped, and it would be difficult to come back next time. But just at that moment, Zhang Yi received a strange fluctuation. Yang Xinxin's voice suddenly came through. "Brother, Totoro is suddenly getting restless, as if it wants to get out." A look of surprise flashed across Zhang Yi's eyes. Then, as if he had thought of something, he immediately said, "Let it out and see." Totoro is a strange creature that Zhang Yi picked up on Star Island. According to Zhou Keir's tests, its genetic sequence is only about 30% similar to that of humans. This is very strange because it looks like a mammal, but the similarity of its gene sequence is so low. After all, humans and bananas have a 50% similarity in their gene sequences. Zhang Yi and Zhou Keir attributed this to genetic mutation. However, more than half a year has passed since they brought it back from Star Island, and they still haven't figured out what secrets it holds. According to tests, it had superhuman abilities, with a raw power level of around 9,600 points. However, its actual combat ability was very weak, and it could only rely on its instincts to protect itself. Coupled with its cute appearance and ability to play the flute, Zhang Yi once thought it was a mutant human. It wasn't until today that its abnormal reaction reminded Zhang Yi that this guy might have some special knowledge of the underground. Could it be an underground creature? Zhang Yi was a little curious. Or maybe it's a miner or something that mutated after coming into contact with the mysteries of Mist Valley? Regardless, Zhang Yi decided to let it out and give it a try. Soon, Totoro jumped out of his shadow. When Zhong Yue and the others saw this, their eyelids twitched uncontrollably. Even Li Changgong, who also had space abilities, was a little jealous of Zhang Yi's ability. A storage space that could even store living creatures was a god-level skill when used in the military or in group combat. For example, they were now tens of thousands of meters underground, and even someone like Li Changgong, who was an epsilon, would be in mortal danger during combat if he didn't get enough supplies and his combat suit was damaged or he ran out of oxygen. After Totoro jumped out of the shadow space, his originally cute eyes released a burning light. It was like a raccoon cat that had smelled a mouse, and his ears perked up. It sniffed hard, then leaped directly toward the crater, which was still spewing hot lava. The rolling lava couldn't hurt it at all. It swam in the lava, then suddenly dove in, its two furry paws digging frantically downward. Before long, it dug a huge hole in the crater. This was not a huge underground volcano, and the scale of the magma did not seem particularly large. Totoro dug a passageway, then turned back and let out a howling cry at Zhang Yi. "Does it want me to follow it?" Zhang Yi could roughly understand what Totoro meant. Zhong Yu said to Zhang Yi, "Chaos, is this your subordinate?" Zhang Yi replied, "It looks like it can help us find the Centipede King that escaped. Should we chase it?" He didn't answer Zhong Yu's question, but changed the subject. Han Shanzhua frowned. "Is it reliable?" Zhang Yi spread his hands and said, "I can only say we can try. We'll see how it goes." Zhong Yu said in a deep voice, "Let's chase it. Now that it's seriously injured, the four of us can kill it. If we wait until it recovers and continues to grow by devouring the Yuan stone vein, it will be very difficult for us to have another chance like this." The group didn't waste much time and decided to chase after it together. Zhong Yu gave the four of them fixed supernatural armor, and Zhang Yi also unleashed his full power. The four of them followed the huge cave dug out by Totoro. In the abyss, the rampaging Earth Centipede clan seemed to sense the fall of the Centipede Queen and the mournful cries of the Centipede King, so they became even more frantic and rushed forward to kill all the invaders from the surface. Humans had underestimated the number of Earth centipedes. Even the army composed of the top mutants from the four major regions was under tremendous pressure. Flower was entangled with a giant purple Earth centipede with an ability index of 9,800. They clashed, their sharp teeth and claws tearing at each other's bodies, and the battle caused the rock walls of the abyss to continuously crumble. A large amount of Yuan stone veins were exposed from the rock walls, and a blue light surrounded the Earth Centipede tribe. However, they were obscured by Deng Shintong's dazzling light. After a fierce battle, one of Flower's wings was torn off, and several gruesome wounds remained on its body. However, it also bit off the Earth Centipede's source and flew back crookedly, hanging its remains with a fierce look on its face. The wounded beast was filled with a fierce aura. Not only were the Earth Centipedes afraid of its power, but even the mutants from other districts were terrified of it. Is this the house cat that devoured the source of God and legend and will sooner or later be promoted to Epsilon? Among the heavenly spirits, Zhou Haojie sucked in a breath of cold air, feeling both awe and envy for Flower. After all, not everyone was as lucky as it was to meet such a good master as Zhang Yi. Flower's injuries were not light, but with its gluttony ability, it was able to recover its supernatural powers and physique by eating. Therefore, it pressed down on the huge Earth Centipede's corpse, its sharp teeth crunching through the hard shell, and began to devour its flesh and origin to restore itself. On the other side, Liang Yu, Uncle Yu, and Fatty Su were also fighting hard. This was the first time they had fought without Zhang Yi's protection. Everything depended on themselves. Even Fatty Su, who was usually timid, saw the blood and felt his inner ferocity awaken. When a person is discharged from the military and can retreat, their primitive killing instincts slowly awaken. He, Uncle Yu, and Liang Yu did not fight separately, but worked together. Fatty Su was responsible for controlling the battlefield, then he and Uncle Yu carried out long-range attacks. With the weapons provided by Liu Karen, they were able to fight with combat power that exceeded their ability index. The sophistication of their weapons was such that even mutants from other districts couldn't help but be surprised when they saw them. Obviously, these were not simply modern military products, but high-quality items created by mutants with advanced mechanical manufacturing abilities. Liang Yu charged at the front, followed by Fatty Sue's blizzard and Uncle Yu's gunfire. She had already adapted to the hook rope's abilities and was constantly running through the rock walls of the abyss. The dragon's roar in her hand carried a supernatural power like blue smoke, and she flew through one earth centipede after another. There were no flashy moves or earth-shattering swords, just a flash of blue light in midair, and the source of an earth centipede was destroyed. However, the battle did not always go smoothly. Soon, Liang Yu was also targeted by a powerful earth centipede. It emerged from the shadows and shot a black beam at the back of Liang Yu's head. Liang Yu sensed the danger and rolled several times on the rock wall with her agile body, dodging the direct hit of the energy beam. However, the energy beam followed closely behind, intent on cutting off Liang Yu's head. She had no choice but to kick the rock wall with both feet and use the momentum to leap 5 or 6 meters upward. At the same time, she saw the giant earth centipede crawling out of the dark cave. Liang Yu exhaled a white mist from her mouth, which shot out like a sharp arrow, 1 meter long, solid and unbroken. The ability of the chi sect allowed her to gather the energy within the human body and transform it into a powerful weapon. Come on! Liang Yu clenched Dragon's Roar in one hand, and energy surged wildly from her limbs, blue smoke rising from her feet. She lowered her head and ran along the rock wall toward the earth centipede at a speed faster than it. The battlefield was extremely fierce, with fighting everywhere. There were even casualties among the mutants. Fortunately, they were well prepared, and each mutant team had healing mutants. On the side of the heavenly spirits, Tian Manxing opened the needle pouch he carried with him, and hundreds of silver needles danced in his hands. These silver needles were both weapons and could be shot into the bodies of friendly troops to heal them. On the side of the 5 immortals of the northeast, the white immortal Wei Shufan was a kind aunt in her 40s. She carried a green bag on her back, and with a reach inside, she was able to sprinkle medicine powder all over the sky. The poison killed enemies, the antidote saved people, and it could also enhance the combat effectiveness of her teammates. In the northwest region, the Earth War god Chiyukuan had an extremely rare trait system ability called Earth Nurtures All Things. He could transform his body into a giant tree, take root in the rock wall, and then grow thick, long branches. He drew power from the earth and then scattered pollen to heal his teammates. With their tacit cooperation, they formed a clear front and rear formation. Although the battle was very difficult, no one was killed. On the mutant beast army side, several mutants and mutant beasts gave the most stunning performances. Needless to say, Flower from the Jiangnan region was formidable, with her powerful fighting ability and the strength to tear apart giant earth centipedes with her bare hands. Meanwhile, the Northwest region's immovable fortress battle formation and the Heavenly Spirits battle formation demonstrated extremely strong discipline. For top mutants, paired with Chen Jiahao, who had firepower supremacy, launched a relentless bombardment on the Earth Centipede clan. Among the 5 extreme gods of war, the Sky War god Qingwanlan and the Moral War god Xiao Liu showed extremely powerful individual combat abilities. Xiao Liu's ability did not seem outstanding. The ability of Metal Frenzy was amplification, amplifying everything. Originally, this ability was only recognized by the Northwest Region military as an auxiliary ability, and he was designated as the auxiliary of the mutant team. However, no one expected that Xiao Liu would use his amazing talent to develop this ability into a powerful supernatural ability that could be used for both offense and defense. He took a grenade from his clothes and bit the ring with a cold smile, his teeth as white as snow. The amplifying power of Metal Frenzy was added to the grenade, which quickly began to glow like a miniature sun in the palm of his hand. The muscles in Xiao Liu's left arm bulged as he threw the grenade like a baseball toward the Earth Centipede swarm in the distance. A few seconds later, a dazzling white light accompanied by a deafening sound exploded there. In an instant, hundreds of Earth Centipedes were blown to pieces, and even the Earth Centipedes in the center were blown to ashes. Almost everyone who appeared here was a prodigy from the 4 major military regions, 1 in tens of millions. They all wanted to prove their strength in front of others and refused to be a foil for others. But in the midst of this chaos, some people had different ideas. Qing Lanlan's gaze kept lingering on the people from the Jiangnan region. It swept past Flower, Uncle Yu, and Fatty Sue, and finally landed on Liang Yu. Liang Yu, the last martial arts master of the Huashu kingdom. The corners of her mouth slowly curled up, revealing a dangerous smile. Liang Yu fought hard to kill her enemies on the battlefield. After killing each earth centipede, she would string its corpse together with a hook rope. Gradually, the chain behind her was filled with the corpses of powerful earth centipedes. As a strong fighter, she had always believed that she should be the team's fighter. This had always been the case before she joined Zhang Yi's team. However, after entering the sanctuary, she never expected the situation to change so quickly. Zhang Yi's strength had improved so rapidly that he had now reached a level that she could not hope to match. After absorbing the Source of God, Flower had also clearly pulled away from the others and would surely become an Epsilon-level mutant beast in the not-too-distant future. Even Lu Karen, Zhou Qir, Yan Xinxin, and the others were showing increasingly powerful potential. Gradually, as a pure fighter, Liang Yu found herself in a rather awkward position. She had always stayed at home to protect her companions, but in reality, Zhang Yi had basically eliminated all danger from the shelter, which made Liang Yu feel uncomfortable. She was not willing to just be Zhang Yi's martial arts teacher. So today, with this rare opportunity, she secretly vowed to take advantage of it to quickly improve herself. As long as she could kill more and stronger earth centipedes and hunt down their origin, her strength would also increase. The only way to be promoted to Epsilon was through the Source of God. She didn't dare to think about that. However, in her eyes, this barrier was not necessarily impossible to break. With her body that had been tempered 1,000 times. Ha! Liang Yu clenched Dragon's Roar in both hands and charged towards the giant earth centipede. The giant earth centipede crawled sinuously on the rock wall, incredibly agile, and immediately fired an energy cannon at her. Liang Yu did not attack recklessly. She knew that she was no match for such a powerful mutant beast in a pure battle of strength. Martial artists rely not only on brute force, but also on their brains and skills. She nimbly jumped around on the rock wall, dodging the attacks of the giant earth centipede, while a series of violent explosions rang out behind her. Those were rocks shattered by the earth centipede, mixed with large amounts of blue yuan stone veins falling into the abyss. Liang Yu took 3 adhesive bombs out of her backpack and threw them at the earth centipede like darts. Seeing the weapons coming at it, the earth centipede twisted its body nimbly and dodged the 3 bombs. Liang Yu's hands didn't stop moving, and she threw 3 more bombs with her other hand. As the 2 sides tugged at each other, more than a dozen adhesive bombs were thrown. Seeing that Liang Yu's attack had failed, the earth centipede raised its head smugly and let out a taunting cry. Screech! The corners of Liang Yu's mouth slowly curled up, and she lightly opened her red lips. Explode! In the next moment, the bombs attached to the rock wall around the earth centipede exploded instantly. The rocks around the earth centipede's body quickly peeled off, and its body, which was clinging to the rocks, suddenly became unstable and fell downwards along with a large amount of rocks. Taking advantage of the earth centipede's instability, Liang Yu did not hesitate and rushed towards it with her long sword in hand. Once the earth centipede's huge body lost its center of gravity, it was difficult for it to recover in midair. It twisted its body desperately, trying to grab the nearby rock wall with its limbs. However, it fell along with a large amount of shattered rocks, so it only managed to grab some broken stones. Liang Yu took the opportunity to jump down. With its front doors wide open, Liang Yu stabbed it in the chest with her sword. Even its steel-like body couldn't block Liang Yu's powerful sword strike. Screech! The earth centipede let out a painful cry. It struggled to twist its body, knocked Liang Yu away, grabbed a protrusion on the rock wall, and quickly crawled into a cave. Liang Yu didn't expect the earth centipede to be so tenacious. Just now, she had cut a hole the size of a person's chest on it. In human proportions, it was equivalent to a fist-sized gap in the chest. It still had the strength to move. Because of this, Liang Yu's gaze became even more fierce. The origin of this earth centipede was definitely very strong. Although it was not as strong as the monster Flower had killed, it was still at the captain level. She would definitely not let it get away. Liang Yu grabbed Dragon's Roar and rushed straight towards the cave. Dense earth centipedes climbed over from all directions on the rock wall, glaring at Liang Yu and threatening her with screeching sounds. These twisted and huge insects looked extremely terrifying, but once Liang Yu's fighting spirit was aroused, she was afraid of nothing. She didn't even bother with these small minions. Hiss! 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 The blue gas turned into the sharpest sword beams, neatly cutting through all the earth centipedes blocking the way, and the huge earth centipedes were torn into pieces and fell into the abyss. Liang Yu rushed into the passage, and the intelligent system of her combat suit would help her chase the earth centipede based on the blood residue in the air. Uncle Yu, who was not far away, saw this and shouted anxiously, "Teacher Liang, don't chase a desperate enemy." However, the battle here was too noisy, and the signal deep underground was affected by various factors, so it couldn't be effectively transmitted at that moment. He could only watch as Liang Yu chased after the heavily wounded earth centipede. Fatty Su held 2 submachine guns in both hands, his eyes shining with excitement. The powerful earth centipedes had all been taken care of by Flower and Liang Yu, and the surrounding monsters were all small ones, which he and Uncle Yu were responsible for clearing up. Therefore, they didn't encounter too much trouble. It feels like fighting in an arcade game, which is really cool. Uncle Yu glanced at him and said, "Now that Teacher Liang is chasing the earth centipede, let's go help her." Upon hearing this, Fatty Su subconsciously looked into the distance, in the direction Liang Yu had left. The rock wall was covered with earth centipedes, the smallest of which were 7 or 8 meters long, and there were even monsters dozens of meters long. He swallowed hard. This isn't something we can handle, right? Uncle Yu was also very worried. When Zhang Yi left, he told them not to split up because the battle here was very dangerous. Liang Yu was on a roll and went after her prey alone. If they didn't follow her, what would happen if Liang Yu encountered any danger? But reality didn't give Uncle Yu a chance to worry. He soon discovered that after Liang Yu left, trouble was coming their way. A large number of earth centipedes rushed towards Uncle Yu and Fatty Su. This momentum was different from the small fry they had dealt with before. Fatty Su's face turned pale in an instant, and he sobered up considerably. It was fine for him to tag along, but asking him to fight was too much to ask. Fortunately, although Liang Yu had gone after the earth centipedes, Flower was still there. It had already eaten more than half of the giant earth centipede with an ability index of 9,800, and its injuries were slowly recovering. Its aura was even more dangerous, causing the mutants in the surrounding areas to dare not approach. Flower had not forgotten Zhang Yi's instructions. Its cold eyes, like those of an evil god, only glanced at the group of earth centipedes. In the next moment, it opened its mouth and a breath of atoms pierced through 1,000 meters of space, directly shattering the group of earth centipedes. Fatty Su clapped his hands excitedly. "Wonderful, wonderful." Flower looked at him with a slanted eye. Woo, although it didn't speak, its meaning was clear in its eyes. "You idiot, you're useless." Fatty Su scratched his head awkwardly. "It's not that I'm useless, it's just that my teammates are too strong, they didn't give me a chance to fight." Flower blew a hot breath out of his nostrils, almost blowing Fatty Su away. He looked in the direction Liang Yu had left, frowning slightly. But he couldn't go help Liang Yu right now because earth centipedes were still appearing one after another. If he left, there would be a gap in this direction, and the mutants in other areas would surely suffer heavy casualties. Thinking of Liang Yu's strength, it decided to let Liang Yu deal with the problem over there herself. So Flower roared angrily and once again pounced on a strange and twisted earth centipede that had just crawled out from underground. Liang Yu was in the passageway, like a silver fox in the snow, crouching low and pursuing quickly. Her combat suit provided lighting equipment that could provide her with a limited range of light. The bloodstains left on the ground became the best road signs. During the pursuit, she slashed countless monsters blocking her way with her sword. These giant earth centipedes clearly had a special status in the earth centipede kingdom, so no other earth centipedes above the captain level appeared. Liang Yu's path was clear, and she killed them as easily as cutting melons and vegetables. Finally, she caught up with the Earth Centipede with its chest pierced. Its source had been destroyed, and green blood flowed from the huge hole in its chest like a spring. After being caught up by Liang Yu, it angrily tried to turn around and fight back, but Liang Yu skillfully dodged its death throws, then circled around to its back and delivered the final blow with her sword. Boom! The huge body crashed to the ground, and it was completely dead. A smile of satisfaction appeared on Liang Yu's face. She picked up Dragon's Roar and walked over to start digging out its source. However, before she could dig halfway, a dangerous aura came from one of the cave's exits. A martial artist's intuition far exceeded that of ordinary people, and her sixth sense allowed her to sense something called killing intent. Without hesitation, she raised the long sword in her hand and pointed it in that direction. "Who's there?" It wasn't the Earth Centipede, because the movement was too light, so light that there wasn't even any sound of footsteps in the air. As soon as Liang Yu finished speaking, 3 claps came from the direction of her sword. Clap, clap, clap. The slender and graceful Qinling walked out of a cave, her eyes cold and smiling as she stared at Liang Yu. Good intuition. Qinling was tall and slender, standing at 1.75 meters, with a well-proportioned figure and perfectly toned arms and thighs. Her tight calves were like those of a cheetah, capable of bursting out with tremendous power at any moment. Beast-type ability users mostly possess the ability to enhance their physical functions, making their bodies more beast-like. Therefore, when Liang Yu faced her, she raised her guard to the highest level. She had seen Qingling's abilities. The peregrine falcon is one of the fastest birds, and only high-speed cameras can capture its speed when hunting. The prey of this creature may not even know that it has been hunted down before it dies. It is an extremely dangerous creature. Mutants with the ability of a peregrine falcon are definitely the most terrifying hunters. Liang Yu's inner alarm bells rang wildly. She had seen Qinling in action and knew how terrifying the power of one of the 5 extreme gods of war of the Northwest region was. Her ability index was 9,700 points, higher than hers. Not to mention that she was a beast-type ability user who was extremely skilled in close combat and hunting, with ability attributes close to Liang Yu's. With a 200-point lead in ability index, she would definitely be extremely deadly. "Why are you here? Is it a coincidence, or is it for me?" Liang Yu pointed the sword in her hand at Qinling. Her intuition would not be wrong. What's more, at this moment, Qinling was not even trying to hide the murderous intent emanating from her body. At this point, they were far away from the main group, so even if something happened here, no one outside would know. Qinling and Liang Yu kept a distance of several dozen meters between them and slowly circled around each other. Liang Yu, one of the women by Zhang Yi's side. "It seems that you are also the only woman he brought with him this time." Qinling did not answer Liang Yu's question, but instead calmly recited the information she had on Liang Yu. Liang Yu frowned and tried to contact the outside world, but the intelligence system informed her that all communication signals in the vicinity had been blocked and could not be transmitted. A playful smile appeared on Qingling's lips. "Don't bother. I used jamming equipment when I came here. Now, there is no way to communicate with the outside world." After spending more than a year with Zhang Yi, Liang Yu's personality had changed significantly. She had a keen sense of danger and no longer held unrealistic expectations of others. "You want to kill me?" Liang Yu asked in a low voice, "Because Zhang Yi beat Li Changgong?" Liang Yu immediately figured out the problem. They had only been in contact with the Northwest region for a short time, and their only grudge was the bet between Zhang Yi and Li Changgong. The result was that Zhang Yi won. Qingling's gaze suddenly became fierce. She glared at Liang Yu and scolded, "Shut up. That Zhang guy was just lucky to beat our commander once. In terms of background and ability, he can't compare to our commander in any way. Our commander is a natural-born leader. He will definitely do great things in these turbulent times." Liang Yu stared at her, every muscle tense, not daring to let her guard down for a moment. "So, he lost, and now he's harboring hatred in his heart and intends to take revenge here, is that right?" Qinglong said with a sneer, Are you listening to what you're saying? Revenge? No, our commander has his eyes on the big picture. Even if he lost to Zhang once, it doesn't affect his greatness in the slightest. Liang Yu asked in a low voice, then why are you here? Qinling suddenly raised her left hand and gently rubbed her right wrist. With the commander's talent and virtue, he can tolerate the insults of lowly people. But I can't. I am the commander's right-hand woman, so I must help him get rid of the filth. I can't kill Zhang, but if I kill his woman here, she said, a cold smile appearing on the corner of her mouth like a monster, her eyes glaring at Liang Yu like a poisonous snake, then his expression will be priceless. Liang Yu slowly took a deep breath. When she saw Qingling's crazy expression, she knew that there was no point in continuing the conversation. Qinling was determined to kill her today. This place was too far away from the mutant beast army, and all communications had been completely blocked. Even if someone died here, it could be blamed on the Earth Centipede, and no one would have time to investigate the truth. Therefore, at most, only one person could survive today. Liang Yu knew that she was facing a powerful enemy, but there was not a trace of fear on her face or in her heart. As she had done countless times before, she gently turned her wrist, and blue energy swirled around her body and the sword. The sword blade slowly cut through the air, emitting a series of dragon-like cries. Qinling no longer hesitated, the killing intent in her eyes completely erupted, and she rushed towards Liang Yu. Martial arts master? In the face of absolute strength, you're nothing but a pile of meat. Her body suddenly transformed into a white peregrine falcon. With a flap of her wings, she disappeared right before Liang Yu's eyes. Liang Yu didn't take her eyes off Qinling for a moment, but her pupils couldn't catch the shadow of the peregrine falcon. Qinling disappeared from dozens of meters away, and at almost the same time, Liang Yu felt a chill on her neck, as if a long sword had swept across it. Clang! Something violently collided with Dragon's roar, and the powerful force immediately destabilized Liang Yu's upper body. She quickly moved 7 or 8 steps to the side to escape the terrifying force. Liang Yu quickly stabilized herself. With this blow, she was just able to see Qinling transformed into a peregrine falcon. Its beak was like a sharp hook. Liang Yu had no doubt that if she hadn't blocked it with her instincts honed over many years of training, her head would have been cut off. Just one strike made Liang Yu realize the huge gap between the two of them. Whether it was speed or strength, Qinling surpassed her. Especially speed. When Qinling transformed into a peregrine falcon, her speed was so fast that it was difficult to catch her. The more similar the abilities of two mutants were, the slightest difference in their ability index would result in a huge difference in strength. This was especially terrifying for close-range mutants. If she was even half a second slower, she wouldn't have been able to block the opponent's bird beak. If the back of her sword was half an inch slower, Liang Yu's neck would have been cut off. The danger in this situation was a matter of millimeters. Qingling's strike missed, but she saw Liang Yu's body sway. Her laughter came from the bird's beak. Martial arts master, you're nothing but a joke. From the very beginning, I've had my eyes on you. I know exactly how strong you are. Qinling said coldly, so today, you will die. That day, after Li Changgong was defeated by Zhang Yi, he suffered the greatest humiliation of his life. Although he tried his best to maintain his pride in front of his subordinates and not let his crown fall, this despair could not escape the eyes of Qinling, who had followed him for many years. Therefore, the seeds of hatred had long been sown, and there were not many stories in this world where people could meet again and forget their past grievances with a smile. Humans are very petty creatures. So-called forgetting hatred is merely a result of weakness, forcing one to endure. It is precisely because of this that those who once occupied the lowest ranks often resort to any means necessary to exercise their power once they gain even a modicum of it, going to extreme lengths to make life difficult for others. It cannot be said that Qinling had been planning to kill Liang Yu for a long time, but when she saw Zhang Yi leave and everyone was exhausted from fighting off the Earth Centipede's counterattack, the hatred in her heart gave her this idea. As a peregrine falcon, she had excellent vision and powerful flying abilities, which allowed her to carefully observe Liang Yu during the battle. Liang Yu did not guard her back. She was not as mature as Zhang Yi, so she held nothing back during the battle. Therefore, her strength, speed, and even her attack moves were clearly observed by Qinling. After assessing the difference in strength between the two, Qinling came to the conclusion that she could kill Liang Yu. The peregrine falcon flapped its wings in midair and looked at Liang Yu, who was struggling to stabilize herself, with a mocking smile on its bird face. "It's nothing special." As soon as she said that, she disappeared from where she stood and appeared in front of Liang Yu in the blink of an eye. Liang Yu had no choice but to hold her sword with both hands and put all her strength into defending against Qinglanlan's attacks. Qinglanlan was too fast for Liang Yu to fight back, so she could only rely on her well-trained martial arts and instincts to block her attacks. Even when she struck out, she wasn't sure if she could block Qinglanlan's attack. She blocked it completely subconsciously. In the underground cave, the clanging sounds were like iron being struck. Liang Yu's legs were firmly planted on the ground, but her upper body was like a lonely boat in a storm. Clang. A violent impact caused Liang Yu's legs to be unable to support her body, and her legs dug 2 long marks into the ground like iron plows. "No, I have to find a way to fight back. If this continues, I'll be killed sooner or later. I have to find a loophole in her attack and seize the initiative." Liang Yu gritted her teeth. She felt that she was facing another major crisis in her life. The Grim Reaper's scythe was hanging high above the back of her head, ready to strike at any moment. This time, Zhang Yi couldn't help her. She could only rely on herself. However, after many years of martial arts training, she had long since developed an unyielding spirit. How could she be weak? No matter how difficult the situation, she would try her best to find a way out. "She's faster and stronger than me." Even the direction of her attacks is unpredictable, making it impossible to anticipate her movements. Liang Yu gripped the hilt of her sword tightly and didn't stop attacking for a moment, like a raging storm. While attacking, Qinglanlan tried to destroy her willpower with her voice, which seemed like a trick used to torment prey. "Your attacks are powerless." Bang! The bird's beak struck the sword, then slammed into Liang Yu's chest, causing her blood to boil and her body to almost fall backward. "Your defense is poor." Another attack came from behind, and Liang Yu didn't have time to turn around, so she swept her left arm backward. A circle of wrist guards popped out of her combat suit and blocked the peregrine falcon's sharp claws. Crack! The E-metal wrist guards were dented, and the joints cracked open. "Your footwork is loose." Once again, from the side. Liang Yu was hit hard as if by a heavy hammer. She couldn't hide the back of her sword, and her arm was finally grazed by peregrine falcon's beak. Just that one blow was enough to cause a burning pain, tearing through 2 layers of combat suit and ripping off a large chunk of flesh. Slow reaction. Liang Yu's body could no longer withstand such continuous high-speed attacks and was thrown violently into the air. Qinglanlan's pupils flashed with contempt in a bloodthirsty light. "You're not even decent. With your level of skill, you dare to call yourself a martial arts master. You're a disgrace to the martial arts world. With people like you around him, Zhang will be finished sooner or later." The moment Liang Yu's body was thrown away, Qinglanlan flew into the distance. After flying at high speed, she wanted to turn back and deliver the final blow to Liang Yu. But just at that moment, Liang Yu, who was flying like a kite, suddenly shot a hook from her wrist and hooked onto a rock wall not far away. Using the rock wall to deflect Qinglanlan's force, Liang Yu quickly stabilized herself and landed on the ground with her left hand like a cheetah. At this moment, she was truly facing a desperate situation. At the moment of life and death, the question that had always troubled her also got a solution that was worth a try. Why does martial arts exist? This is a question that every martial artist must ponder. If a person can be invincible as long as they have enough strength and speed, then what is the point of technique? Liang Yu was a woman. Since she was a child, her father and many masters had told her that if she wanted to achieve something in martial arts, she had to work harder than men. Due to their physiological disadvantages, they were almost unable to fight men in the same condition. So, how could this gap be eliminated? One of her secret weapon masters once gave her an answer. Play to your strengths and avoid your weaknesses. Since you are not as strong as your opponent, don't engage in close combat. That's why martial artists in the South often carry weapons with them. They don't attack unless they have to, but when they do, they hurt their opponents. If you are not as fast as your opponent, use stillness to defeat them. Seize the opportunity to strike and kill. But if you miss, you may lose your life, so don't strike lightly. Liang Yu had always been very brave, and she knew that continuing to delay would not do her any good. She had to fight quickly and decisively. But why would Qinling listen to her orders? I have to make her show a weakness. So, I have to show a weakness first. Liang Yu looked at Qinling, who was returning from afar, quickly sheathed her sword, and made a move to draw it. Qingling's movement stopped slowly in midair. She narrowed her eyes, and a cold light flashed. Planning to fight back? A faint sneer appeared at the corner of her mouth. If both of them gave up their defenses and attacked each other, it would be a contest of speed. Liang Yu was not as fast as her, so if she defended herself, she might have a chance of survival. But if she fought back, she would surely die. You're looking for death. EI. A famous technique in neon swordplay. Although there was a similar technique in the ancient Huashu kingdom, it was not widely used. During duels, samurai usually did not wear armor, so swords did not need to be able to break armor, and the winner was decided by who was faster. Liang Yu was well versed in the martial arts of many countries, taking the essence and discarding the dross. EI can indeed make ultra-fast slashes in an instant. This was currently her best option to counter Qinling. After fighting Tsukamoto Nobunaga, a master of the Eclipse Moon Organization's Nitten Ichiryu style, she learned a lot and combined Tsukamoto Nobunaga's moves with her own insights to develop a new move called Feng Wei. With her at the center, her sword covered a radius of 10 meters. In the blink of an eye, her sword could reach any point within that radius. Combined with the ability of the Qi sect, even if she closed her eyes and couldn't see anything, she could still sense the movements of everything within the 10-meter radius of Feng Wei. Now, she was going to take a gamble. Would Qingling's Peregrine Falcon ability be faster, or would her sword be faster? She only had one chance to strike. If she lost, she would die. Qinling sensed this determination, and her gaze became even more fierce, but she was not afraid. Even an ant would fight for its life, and no one would willingly go to their death. But Qinling had absolute confidence in her own strength. Even if that sword was drawn from its sheath, it would never be able to catch up to her speed. At this moment, Liang Yu seemed to sense Qingling's hesitation, raised her head and gave her a contemptuous smile. Then she raised her hand and deliberately exposed the left side of her neck to Qinling. Don't you want to cut off my neck? Come on. This move of exposing her weakness to her opponent completely enraged Qinling. You want to die? I'll grant you your wish. She gauged Liang Yu's speed and made a decision. Even if Liang Yu's sword was fast, it couldn't be faster than her. EEI had huge loopholes and was very risky to use. In ancient times, sword-drawing techniques like this were not popular in the Huashu kingdom because swords in ancient times were easy to draw, and in most battles, both hands had to be used to wield a sword. Therefore, EI was mainly used for surprise attacks. Once the long sword was drawn from its sheath, if the attack failed, the user would expose a huge opening. A playful look flashed in Qingling's eyes. I'll give you this chance. You're going to lose. In the next moment, her figure disappeared again, and a silver thread flashed through the air, leaving a trail of light behind her. She was too fast to catch up with. In less than 0.1 seconds, she had already reached Liang Yu's side, aiming straight for the half of her neck that she had deliberately exposed. The bird's beak was sharp, and at the same time, the sword was pulled out of its sheath, its bright blade illuminating the surroundings in an instant. Clang! The sound of metal colliding rang out. The dragon's roar slashed past Qingling's head, and the fierce killing intent made her shiver. But at this critical moment, her body suddenly turned in midair and dodged Liang Yu's thunderous strike. How could I be so stupid as to fight you to the death? Qinling sneered in her heart. She wasn't willing to give Liang Yu even the slightest chance. Fight desperately? Ridiculous. The strong want a perfect victory. Liang Yu's sword slashed past Qingling's head, actually cutting off a few feathers. The bright sword was wrapped in blue energy and was extremely sharp. However, Qinling, who was already prepared, struck back with both claws. With a loud clang, Dragon's Roar was knocked flying by Qinling. After missing her target, half of Liang Yu's body was exposed in front of Qinling. Her slender neck was the best place for Qinling to strike. At this moment, Liang Yu had lost her sword and had become a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Qinling opened her sharp bird's beak, which was comparable to a guillotine, and could cut Liang Yu's head off at the neck in one fell swoop. Die! Your head is the price Shang Yi paid for his actions. Qinling launched a fatal blow. At this moment, there was almost nothing that could stop her from killing Liang Yu. A martial arts master without weapons was like a tiger that had lost its claws and teeth. However, she did not notice that there was not a trace of fear in Liang Yu's eyes. Instead, they had become even sharper and brighter. Even at the moment of life and death, she was still incredibly calm, because fear would affect one's judgment. Facing Qingling's attack, she raised her arm in front of her neck as if she had anticipated it. Snap! A crisp breaking sound rang out, and Liang Yu's left arm was cut off. Her well-trained body and enhanced physique helped her protect her vital organs. Qinling bit off her arm and was about to deliver the fatal blow to the crippled Liang Yu. But just at that moment, a chill ran through her chest and abdomen. Pfft! A sharp blade pierced her back and came out of her chest, exposing its cold tip. Qinling looked at the blade in front of her chest in disbelief. In the next moment, a huge force burst out from the sword, shattering her internal organs from the inside. Puff! Qinling, Sky War God of the Northwest region, fell. In a brief moment, less than a second, her smug and ferocious smile remained on her face, but her eyes were filled with confusion and terror. Until her death, she did not understand where that sword had come from. Liang Yu, who was from the enhancement system, did not have the ability of telekinesis. A flying sword controlled by simple telekinesis could not pierce her body silently. But she would never have the answer. As she fell to the ground, her internal organs had been completely turned into a pile of flesh, and her body returned to its human form. With a snap, she fell to the ground like a pile of broken meat. Liang Yu's face was pale, one of her arms had fallen to the ground, and her other hand was clutching something tightly. Only by staring hard could one see that it was an extremely thin thread, the other end of which was connected to the hilt of a long sword. Qinling had died because of her ignorance. In martial arts, there is a legendary level of skill called Flying Sword. This was not an absurd rumor, because true Qi sect masters could control their Qi to influence objects. According to legend, the highest level martial artists could control swords with their Qi. This was incomparable to ordinary object control. With the Qi sect's methods, Qi was an extension of the body. Therefore, controlling a sword with Qi was like holding a sword in one's hand, and the power of the moves was not reduced but increased. Throughout history, countless masters have longed to reach this realm, but how many prodigies have spent their entire lives without ever achieving it? I can't control swords with my Qi yet. Liang Yu pulled hard on the silk thread in her hand, and Dragon's Roar flew back from Qingling's corpse into her hand. But I can control the thread with my Qi, and I can control the sword with the thread. Liang Yu grabbed the Dragon's Roar as it was pulled back, then slashed Qingling's head off with a single stroke. It seemed that after spending a long time with Zhang Yi, her behavior and habits had been greatly influenced by him, and she had become increasingly cautious when facing enemies. After confirming that Qinling was completely dead, she took a deep breath, and the intelligence system in her combat suit automatically repaired the gap and injected her with a blood-stopping medicine and plasma. Liang Yu picked up her severed arm, but her body trembled uncontrollably from the excitement of being between life and death. In order to kill her silently, Qinglanlan had cut off all communication between this place and the outside world, so now she could slowly recover from her injuries and absorb Qinglanlan's origin before leaving. Anyway, she just needed to follow Qinglanlan's script and blame everything on the Earth Centipede. On the other side, Totoro dug open the crater and cleared a huge cave leading deep into the earth. Liang Yu finally realized that its white paws were not just for decoration. Although they were a little clumsy during battle, they were actually more powerful than an excavator when digging. The four of them followed the passage it had cleared and chased after it underground. Totoro's rear end was facing the four of them, and it seemed as if it had endless energy. Halfway there, Li Changgong curiously asked Liang Yu, "Chaos, where did you get this pet? It's really good at digging. It'll be so convenient to have it lay the foundation for construction projects in the future." This question was naturally a little sarcastic. Liang Yu replied indifferently, "I picked it up. After the apocalypse, there are all kinds of strange mutated creatures. What doesn't exist nowadays?" The others didn't ask any more questions and followed Totoro closely. After about 20 minutes, a strange light suddenly appeared before their eyes. Whoosh! The thick rock layer in front of them was chiseled open by Totoro, revealing a huge hole. Totoro actually fell straight down into it. Liang Yu was quick-witted and quickly grabbed a layer of skin on its neck, and the four of them crossed the cave and arrived at this place. When he saw what was in front of him, Liang Yu froze in place, his eyes wide open and his mind going blank. He saw a wider world. He was suspended in midair, thousands of meters above the ground, surrounded by an immense space with no end in sight. Although he was underground, it did not appear dark. Instead, the rock layer above his head seemed to be made of some kind of special mineral, emitting a misty blue haze that spread from left to right for who knows how many kilometers. It was so beautiful that for a moment, one forgot that they were underground, and instead felt as if they were under the clear sky of the North Pole with its dazzling aurora. Liang Yu originally thought that he had entered an underground cave, perhaps another hiding place of the Earth Centipede clan. However, everything before his eyes clearly exceeded everyone's imagination. The huge space was filled with a purple stream of light. Looking down, the entire ground was covered with a black-purple crystal. It was not some kind of naturally formed ore, but a huge square array composed of regular black-purple crystal polyhedrons. On the square array composed of black-purple crystals, purple rays of light flowed continuously along fixed grooves like electric currents. It was like some kind of mysterious formation. Even from a height of several thousand meters, one would be deeply shocked by the enormity of this black-purple square formation. Roughly estimated, the square formation covered an area of several million square meters. Liang Yu was speechless. Such a huge thing was obviously not naturally formed. It was even more impossible for it to be created by mutant creatures. In the short time of less than 2 years after the end of the world, it was impossible for a mutated creature to develop such a high level of civilization. Not to mention Liang Yu, everyone else was also stunned, staring blankly at everything under their feet. "Circuit board?" Lu Karen suddenly said. It was this one sentence that woke Liang Yu up. He finally understood what that sudden feeling was. The huge array-like thing under his feet looked exactly like a circuit board. However, he had never seen such a huge circuit board before. And what did all this have to do with the Earth Centipede tribe? Liang Yu's head was still confused, but just then, the Totoro he was carrying suddenly twisted its body excitedly, its furry paws pointing to the distant left front. Liang Yu immediately looked in that direction, and the intelligent system magnified the object. Liang Yu finally saw that in the center of this huge square formation composed of black and purple crystals was a huge black and purple pyramid. Purple arcs of light, like electric currents, gathered from all directions and rushed toward the top of the pyramid. Finally, they converged on a platform at the top of the pyramid. Liang Yu's sharp eyes spotted something else on top of the pyramid. "Zoom in further," he shouted. The intelligent system continued to zoom in on everything in front of him, and he was shocked to discover that at the top of the pyramid, where the purple arcs converged, there were 6 purple diamond-shaped crystals. "What is this? Where am I?"